love Passover, and I thought finally, Easter, Passover, same time of year, it's kind of similar. And then I would talk to my little Christian friends growing up. I realized they're not similar at all, because they start out similar. My friend was like, yeah, for Easter, my whole family gets together. I'm like, yeah, Passover, so do we. He's like, oh. And we get dressed up nice. Yeah, Passover, so do we. And we eat too much. Yeah, so do we. And we pray a lot. Yeah, so do we. And there's the giant bunny. Yeah, so do what? What was that? Go back one. The giant bunny for Easter. Jews do not have a giant bunny. No. Well, do you have any animal for Passover? We have part of one on the Seder. No. Well, what about in the story of Passover? Yeah, in the story we have frogs, a whole bunch of frogs. Like, oh, are they happy frogs? Do they play the banjo and sing songs about rainbows? No. Also, copyright infringement, I can't do that. Our frogs do not sing songs. That would be ridiculous. Our frogs are preceded by a river of blood and followed by 8 more plagues. Yay! Okay. What about songs? Do you have animal songs? We do. One, Haggadah. One little goat. Yes. Okay, is he a friendly, happy goat? At first he is. At the beginning of the song, he's doing okay. Then he kinda, sorta, gets eaten. When does that happen in the song? The second verse. But it's okay, because the cat that ate the goat gets bitten by a dog, and the dog is hit with a stick, and the stick is set on fire, and later there's a cow that's killed, a butcher that's killed, the angel of death. It's a song for children! Okay. On Easter we learn that because he loved Jesus so much, God brought him back to life. Well, on Passover we learn that if you mess with the Jews, God will drown you. Okay. On Easter we eat all kinds of delicious food. Every kind of food you can imagine we eat. Well, on Passover we eat matzah, which is basically cardboard that makes you irregular. Well, we have all kinds of chocolate on Easter. We have chocolate in the shape of eggs, chocolate in the shape of bunnies, chocolate everything. Well, we have chocolate-covered matzah. Now, I make fun of all the Jewish holidays, but I still love being Jewish. In fact, I would re-up every year. Like, yes, one Jew, please. Like, if I had to choose every year, like, imagine that all the religions were set up like career day in your high school gym. I would choose Judaism. Like if you're walking around and you're like, oh, what do we have here? Okay. Buddhism, he seems fat and happy. Okay. Hinduism, Ganesha, high five. All right. Islam, no? Okay, fine. What do we have here? Judaism. Let's read some of your material. Ooh. I get to call myself one of the chosen people. I like that. Out of a calendar year of 365 days, I get off of work or school 345 days. Okay, very nice. Oh, Friday night, drink wine. Okay. Saturday morning, drink more wine. Saturday evening, do something called Havdalah, which involves drinking more wine and inhaling fragrant spices. Cool. One Jew, please, right here. What's that? What? Fine print? When a boy is 8 days old? Okay! You know what? Thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to go check out the Rastafarians, because they do Havdalah every night, okay? Yeah, so I like being Jewish. And it's a good thing I like being Jewish, because I go to a lot of services, I celebrate a lot of holidays, because, wait for it, I am married to a rabbi. And to answer your next question, no, I'm not gay, but thank you for assuming that. I'm flattered. That confuses some of my more traditional friends, even my Israeli friends. They're like, wait a minute, wait a minute. What is more likely? That a woman could be a rabbi, or that Aaron could be a gay. Aaron, I think you are a gay. No, Daniela. But it's true. Women can be rabbis, and they can vote and drive cars, and it's very exciting. And when people find out that I'm married to a rabbi, they say, "Oh, so you're also a rabbi?" And it's like, God, no, that's a woman's job. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. The only problem is that there's no term for husband of a rabbi. There's a Yiddish term for wife of a rabbi. Shout it out. Who knows the wife?
Rebbitzin.
Very good. Rebbitzin is the Yiddish word meaning wife of a rabbi. And there's no term for husband of a rabbi. I've asked all kinds of people. Some people saying, well, if it's Rebbitzin in for a lady, it should be Rebbitzin out for a guy. And I say that just perpetuates the gay thing. No, Rebbitzin out. But they say, well, what about Rebbitzin? That's too formal. They say, what about just Rebbitz? That makes me sound like a frog. There's songs about rainbows. We don't want to do that. So they say, well, what about Hubbitzin? I'm like, Hubbitzin? Seriously? So somebody said, well, what about Rebbit's man? I'm like, Rebbit's man? Sounds like the lamest superhero I've ever heard. It is I, Rebbit's man. I can withstand nagging in a single Shabbat. I can shake all the congregants' hands and not meet Purell afterwards. My kryptonite is Rugawa. Delicious. So, yeah, there's no term for husband of a rabbi. I asked my wife, what do you call the husband of a rabbi? And she just said, lucky. So then I asked my in-laws, what do you call the husband of a rabbi? They said, hopefully you call him doctor. But here we are. So, because I had 2 errands to run that day. I had to go to the therapist, and I had to pick up flagels. Does anyone know what a flagel is?
Flat bagel.
A flat bagel. Context clues. All right. Exactly. They're very popular in Long Island. They're flat bagels. That's pretty much it. But they're high fiber, low carb, whole wheat. They're the opposite of matzah, basically. So I had to get flagels and go to my therapist's appointment. And this is true. I was pulled over by the cops. I had never been pulled over before, and a cop pulled me over. He's like, license and registration, and I'm like, I'm excited because I've seen a lot of TV shows, and they actually say that. And then he said what we all know they say, which is, do you know how fast you were going? And I out loud said, this is like in the movies. He goes, what? I said, no, nothing, no, I don't know how fast. How fast? Was I going fast? I was very Jewish. I was like, fast? Me? Fast? What are you talking about? No. And he said, you were going 85 miles per hour. I said, okay. He said, and the speed limit's 55. I said, so too fast is what you're saying. He's like, yeah, that's 30 miles per hour. And I didn't know this, but he informed me, for 30 miles per hour over the speed limit, they can revoke your license. And I said, I hope you don't. Well, why? Please don't. He's like, well, where were you going in such a rush? So we're buddies now, I guess. So I had 2 options. I could say, I had to go get my flat bagels. But I couldn't say that with a straight face. So I just said, well, actually, officer, I'm going to a therapy appointment. And he stopped looking at my license. He's like, why are you going to a therapist? I was like, okay, we're getting chummy now. I said, well, it's covered under my health plan. And honestly, my wife suggested I go. And he's like, your wife? Well, does she at least go to a therapist? I'm like, okay, here we go. So I say, well, actually, she kind of is a therapist because she's a rabbi. And he's like, I didn't know women could be rabbis. I'm like, here we go. I said, well, she is. She married me. And that means pretty much I lose every argument about anything ever. And he shook his head. He said, buddy, you got bigger problems than me. Get out of here. So I got the flagels. Is what